Hello and welcome back to Official Senior Health, the channel dedicated to empowering those over 60 with the information they need to live longer, stronger, and healthier lives. If you've hit the milestone of 60 or beyond, congratulations. You've entered a golden era of wisdom, experience, and vibrancy. But with age comes new health challenges, and today we're going to tackle one of the most serious: strokes. You might think your breakfast routine is harmless, even comforting. But what if I told you that some of your go-to morning foods could be setting you up for a stroke? Stick around, because you're about to discover 9 breakfast foods that can trigger a stroke after 60, and you're probably eating number 2 daily. Imagine pouring yourself a steaming bowl of cereal that you've eaten every day for decades, only to learn it's quietly raising your risk of one of the leading causes of death among seniors. Would you toss it out? Keep watching, because this could change your breakfast forever. Let's dive right in. There's something comforting about the routine of breakfast. For many of us, that first meal of the day is a ritual, a beloved cup of coffee, perhaps paired with a pastry or a bowl of cereal while we catch up on the morning news. But familiarity can breed complacency, and complacency can be dangerous. We'll explore these 9 breakfast staples, unpacking exactly why each one could sabotage blood flow, elevate blood pressure, or trigger dangerous clotting in arteries hardened by age. By the end of this video, you'll know which items to ditch, which healthier swaps you can make, and how to keep your mornings both delicious and safe. Warning: your first breakfast offender has been hiding on grocery shelves for years, and you might be surprised to see it on your table. I'm talking about processed breakfast meats, the bacon, sausage patties, and ham slices that sizzle so satisfyingly in the morning pan. You've heard that sodium is bad, but what you might not know is just how potent these meats are at spiking your blood pressure. A single serving can contain nearly half of your recommended daily sodium intake, not to mention nitrates and nitrites added as preservatives. Over time, those chemicals can damage the inner lining of blood vessels, promoting atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, which is a direct gateway to ischemic stroke. And because these meats are loaded with saturated fats, they elevate your LDL cholesterol, further clogging arteries already compromised by years of wear and tear. Let's break that down. When arteries stiffen and narrow, the heart has to work overtime to pump blood through them. Blood pressure climbs, the tiniest clots become deadly embers, and one wrong turn, like a sudden spike in pressure, can send that clot shooting toward the brain. Boom, you've got a stroke. For those over 60 whose arterial flexibility is already reduced, this snack can be especially hazardous. If you can't imagine breakfast without that crispy strip of bacon, try turkey bacon without added sodium, or opt for a single slice cooked under broiler heat. Both options can curb the worst offending elements. Coming up next is the breakfast food that might be the most insidious of all. You see it on every grocery aisle, and you've probably got a box in your pantry right now. But later in this video, I'll reveal a simple ingredient you can swap into your favorite recipe that cuts stroke risk in half. Keep watching to find out what it is. Moving on, let's talk about sugary cereals. Yes, the ones with colorful loops or frosty flakes that make your grandkids jump for joy and your arteries cry. These cereals are typically loaded with high fructose corn syrup, refined grains, and artificial flavors. The result? A rapid surge in blood sugar, leading to insulin spikes that over time can contribute to type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome. Both of these conditions are major risk factors for stroke. Here's why. High blood sugar damages blood vessels, making them more prone to rupture or blockage. Meanwhile, elevated insulin levels encourage your body to store fat around the abdomen, a notorious predictor of cardiovascular trouble. Consider the popular breakfast that comes in a bright yellow box with a cheerful cartoon mascot. It's a staple in homes everywhere, yet it can pack upwards of 12 teaspoons of sugar per serving. If you pair that with skim milk to cut fat, you might think you're making a healthy choice, but the sugar load remains a ticking time bomb. A healthier swap? Look for whole grain cereals with no more than 6 grams of sugar per serving, or mix a smaller portion of your favorite sweet cereal with plain oats to moderate the rush. Over time, your taste buds will adjust, and you might even find yourself preferring the nuttier, heart-friendlier grains. Now, before we move on to food number 3, let me share a quick quiz. Can you guess which common breakfast beverage contains more sodium than a packet of salted chips? I'll give you a hint. You might add a dash of this to your eggs, stir it into your cereal, or even sprinkle it on fresh fruit. Think about that, because later we'll discuss how that seemingly innocuous habit can dangerously elevate your stroke risk. One morning staple that often goes overlooked for its hidden dangers is table salt itself. Yes, regular old iodized salt. Salt is essential for life, but the average person over 60 is consuming nearly 3 times the recommended daily amount, much of it before 10 a.m. Elevated sodium levels trigger fluid retention, which increases blood volume and consequently blood pressure. And here's the kicker. Rising blood pressure doesn't just stress the heart, it damages the tiny, delicate vessels in the brain, making them more likely to burst under pressure. That's hemorrhagic stroke territory, which is both severe and often fatal. If you're sprinkling salt into your scrambled eggs, onto avocado toast, or over fresh melon, it's time to rethink your seasonings. Consider experimenting with herbs like rosemary, thyme, or paprika, or using a squeeze of fresh lemon juice to brighten flavors without the extra sodium. Even a modest cut of 1,000 milligrams per day in sodium intake can reduce stroke risk by up to 20% in older adults. Halfway through our list, and number 4 is going to shake up your Sunday brunch forever. Trust me, you've never viewed pancakes the same way once you learn the secret ingredient that lurks in that fluffy stack. Stick around. Let's slide into something that feels innocent but is anything but. Pancakes and waffles made from refined flour mixes. You know the ones. Just add water or milk, and in minutes you've got a tall tower dripping with syrup. These mixes are stripped of fiber and nutrients, leaving behind pure, fast-digesting carbs. They spike your blood sugar almost as quickly as sugary cereal, sending you on a roller coaster of insulin surges and crashes. Over time, that repeated stress on your pancreas and blood vessels can lead to insulin resistance, obesity, and hardening of the arteries, again, priming the body for ischemic stroke. But here's a heart-healthy hack. Swap those white flour mixes for whole grain or almond flour versions, or mix half and half with oat flour. You'll add protein and fiber, which slow digestion, keep your blood sugar stable, and nourish your arteries instead of gnawing at them. Top your stack with fresh berries for natural sweetness and antioxidants, and you've turned a notorious stroke trigger into a brain-boosting, circulation-promoting powerhouse. Now, let me ask you, how many times have you reached for that comforting slice of toast, slathered with butter and jam, without a second thought? It feels simple, traditional, and safe. But if that bread is loaded with trans fats, you could be inviting trouble. Food number 5 on our list is commercial toast slathered in butter-laden spreads. Many mass-produced spreads and bakery breads contain partially hydrogenated oils, trans fats that are the worst for cardiovascular health. Unlike saturated fats, which you can mitigate in moderation, trans fats actively raise bad LDL cholesterol while lowering good HDL cholesterol, accelerating arterial plaque buildup. When arteries become clogged, blood can't flow freely to the brain, setting the stage for a devastating stroke. The fix? Choose sprouted grain or whole wheat breads labeled 0 grams trans fat, and use heart-friendly spreads like avocado mash or nut butters without added oils. Your arteries will thank you. We're 2/3 of the way through, and number 6 is so sneaky you'd never suspect breakfast tacos could be a stroke risk. But they can be, especially if you're loading them with the wrong fillings. Keep watching to see how to build a taco that won't backfire on your heart. On to breakfast burritos and tacos loaded with cheese, processed meats, and wraps made from refined flour. These portable favorites often disguise a cocktail of saturated fat, sodium, and refined carbs. Cheese contributes calcium and protein, but in excess, especially processed cheese, it brings dangerous levels of saturated fat. Combine that with salty meats like chorizo or ham, and you've got a trifecta of stroke-promoting ingredients. And since the flour tortillas are usually bleached and refined, you're back to that blood sugar spike scenario we've seen before. To keep your breakfast taco stroke safe, build it with egg whites or whole eggs in moderation, fresh salsa, black beans for fiber, and a small sprinkle of cheese. Wrap it all in a sprouted grain tortilla or even a crisp lettuce leaf. This way, you savor the flavors you love without putting your brain's blood vessels at risk. As we approach the finish line, it's time to shine a light on a beverage that's often touted as healthy, the very elixir of breakfast. Food number 7, fruit juices, even the 100% pure kind. You might think orange juice, apple juice, or grape juice is a vitamin-packed treat, but most of these drinks are almost as sugary as soda. When you grind up the whole fruit and remove the fiber-rich pulp, you're left with liquid sugar that floods your bloodstream. Studies have shown that regular consumption of fruit juice can increase the risk of stroke by nearly 20% in older adults. The culprit isn't the natural sugar itself, it's the rapid influx of sugar without any fiber to slow it down. Instead, eat whole fruits. Munch on an apple, peel an orange, or blend a handful of berries into a smoothie with Greek yogurt and spinach. This adds back the fiber, slows sugar absorption, and delivers antioxidants that protect your blood vessels from damage. We're almost there, but food number 8 might make you reconsider your morning ritual, especially if you've been adding that healthy dollop of delight to your oats or smoothies. I bet you never saw this coming. Let's talk about commercially sweetened yogurt parfaits and flavored dairy yogurts. Those Instagram-worthy parfaits, layered with granola, fruit compote, and creamy yogurt, often come pre-sweetened or flavored with syrups that pack more sugar than dessert. While yogurt has probiotic benefits, too much sugar negates those advantages by promoting inflammation and insulin spikes, once again setting the stage for a clot to form and clog an artery in your brain. Your brain and your gut would be happier with plain Greek yogurt swirled with fresh berries, a sprinkle of nuts, and a drizzle of honey if you need just a touch of sweetness. That way, you get probiotics, protein, fiber, and healthy fats, all the good stuff with none of the sugar overload. And finally, the 9th breakfast favorite that could be your undoing if you're not careful. This one hides in plain sight, wrapped up in convenience and comfort, and it may surprise you where you see it most often. Don't click away. Here we are at food number 9, pre-packaged breakfast bars and pastries. Think toaster pastries, breakfast bars, and muffins in a wrapper. These items are formulated to be shelf-stable, which means preservatives and processed oils high in trans and saturated fats. They're also loaded with refined carbs and hidden sugars. It's the ultimate breakfast convenience trap. 1 minute you're grabbing a bar in the drive-thru, and the next you're dealing with skyrocketing blood sugar and creeping arterial damage. Over time, this leads directly to the kind of plaque buildup that causes ischemic strokes. Instead of reaching for that Pop-Tart or packaged muffin, keep a stash of homemade energy balls in your freezer made with oats, nuts, seeds, and a touch of natural sweetener. Or bake a batch of whole-grain banana muffins on Sunday, freeze them, and reheat one as you head out the door. You get the convenience without the cardiovascular betrayal. We've covered 9 breakfast foods that can trigger a stroke after 60, from processed meats and sugary cereals to fruit juices and toaster pastries. You might be eating some of these items every single day without realizing the risk you're taking. But here's the empowering news. Small swaps and mindful choices can transform your breakfast from a silent threat into a protective shield for your heart and brain. If you found even one of these insights surprising, smash that like button and share this video with a friend or family member who could benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to Official Senior Health for more life-saving tips tailored to those over 60. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload, because your health is priceless and every moment counts. Before we go, here's a quick recap of the simplest swaps. 1. Ditch processed meats. Switch to lean, low-sodium proteins. 2. Replace sugary cereals with whole-grain, low-sugar options. 3. Cut back on table salt. Experiment with herbs and citrus. 4. Opt for whole grains in pancakes and waffles. 5. Say no to trans-fat-rich breads and spreads. 6. Build smarter breakfast tacos with beans and fresh veggies. 7. Eat whole fruits instead of drinking juice. 8. Choose plain yogurts and add your own wholesome toppings. 9. Swap packaged bars for homemade nutrient-dense bites. By making these swaps, you're not just avoiding danger, you're actively nourishing your blood vessels, supporting healthy blood flow, and protecting your brain from the devastation of stroke. So tomorrow morning, when you sit down to breakfast, remember, every bite is a choice between risk and resilience. Choose resilience. Thanks for watching Official Senior Health. Here's to a safe, delicious, and stroke-free breakfast tomorrow, and every day after. Until next time, stay healthy, stay informed, and stay vibrant.